All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel and to another video. It's maybe a little bit of a random video, but it's going to be about Superman and some other things today. There's a lot going on, or a lot of news coming out, so I'm just kind of going to attack it as I think about it. Kind of, it's the best way for me to do it. First of all, I want to apologize. I was wrong about Superman, the 2025 James Gunn Superman. There's something about it that I was just I was wrong about. Now it's I'm gonna explain it in the simplest way that I possibly can, or the best way I possibly can right now, and that's by giving credit for being pointed out uh, to to my attention, which is just I don't even know what it was, so I'm not going to try to make excuses for it and all that. Sorry, look better at the camera. So we're going to look at how it should have ended. It's a YouTube channel. I highly recommend it. We're going to look at this, how it should have ended, this little portion. Now you should watch the entire thing because it's funny throughout. I agree with almost every bit of it. That is funny the way it's done. I don't think that it actually would have fixed the movie the way they said to do it. Perhaps how it should have ended does a lot of times does come out the right way. Most of the time, it's humorous. Just uh, you know, this is ironic. If you really think about it, these are these things. So let's get this pulled up, and we'll play at this point. It's about a minute and 9 seconds in, and let me see here. Just want to make sure I'm not playing wrong. It's going to be normal speed and all that. It doesn't take very long, but this is pretty good. It's funny, but it also, and like I said, I was wrong. Here you go. Um, I stand corrected.
He's diving back down to Earth!
He's going to crash and break free!
I'm sorry, did everyone suddenly forget that we can fly as well?
Oh yeah!
Full reverse! 1W! 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 And so, the precious Man of Steel is no more.
Okay, so 1W. Oh man, that's really good. So anyway, yeah, it didn't occur to me at some point that the Superman clone, Ultraman, can fly, and so can the engineer. Now the engineer, you can give the excuse or there's something that she was busy doing what she was doing and she had to concentrate or something. She couldn't do anything else. That's all well and good, but yeah. Stopping the fall of the descent could have happened. I grant I didn't think about it. Maybe there's some kind of explanation that could be given, perhaps. But even on the way up, they had caught up. There could have been something else that happened there too. Uh, I let it slip by, but it's another problem that does exist in what is this movie. Um, Legitimate excuse or complaint rather, excuse not to enjoy the movie too. Um, even one of the more interesting scenes, this flying thing happening, um, and then you know here we go. So it I I have to say this for somebody that's going to come out and say, no, 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 you're been nitpicking and blah, 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 blah. The problem with that idea if is that other people have already thought of it. A similar scene, not the same, and I'm not going to claim that. In Batman v Superman, Superman is flying Doomsday upward, right? Well, Doomsday spins around and punches him. So there's a back and forth between it. Okay, and another. that's not the only one. Um, there's out on YouTube and other places. Uh, but mainly YouTube. There's a fight created between Hulk and Superman, and in part of that, he is flying Hulk up into space, or space word. So I forget exactly how that happened, but there's a going on, and the fight is happening at that. It doesn't. It's not. They don't just give up. You understand? I understand. You got Ultraman. He's punching Superman. He's punching him in the face. Uh, you know, and the engineers trying to kill Superman by displacing his oxygen, and um, I'm not really sure what encasing him is supposed to do exactly. Somebody may be able to try to explain that to me, but that seemed important enough to mention it. So uh, you can check it out. Some of y'all have it. I have not purchased it on physical media, and don't have the digital copy yet, and not necessarily going to get it. I'm struggling with whether or not to do it. I'm pretty sure I will, just to have a full collection of Superman, and still looking to get other things to fill out that collection of Superman, because I still need, the old serials and stuff like that. But this was very interesting to me, to see that. But anyway, there's more in the how it should have ended, um, and it goes beyond. It goes in the credits, and then it goes beyond that. I think it's a collections of some little shorts they put out before, but I'm not 100% sure because I didn't catch everything. I just know one of the things I had seen, like the smashing into the office scene, had been seen before. But anyway, that was one thing there. Now, the talk is constantly, it seems, almost constantly, and I'm just going to pull up one of these. We're going to do Box Office Mojo. Always talking about the profitability of the movie. So an article came out not too long ago. Hit Superman. Come on, work. My little my mouse is not working so much anymore. All right, let's go to this. Trying to look through things to get everything. There we go. A little better. All right. For the profitability, the the uh, the box office, according to Box Office Mojo, domestic is 354,184,465. Worldwide is 261,600,000, and then I'm sorry, the international. Then worldwide is six. I was not trying to disparage. I just used the wrong term. And then worldwide is 615,784,465. Now, internationally, I don't think that number has changed in quite a while. It seems to be the same. So domestic appears as if it has continued on. In fact, the latest one was on Thursday, the 24th of. I'm sorry, not the 24th. That's the ranking 24. October 2nd. And then on Wednesday, before. So 3,500 and something. So it's gaining a little bit domestically. All right. Now $3,500. Now we're going to go back to the total here. 784,000 is the middle part of the worldwide total. It's 615 million. We could estimate and round it up 616 million, just to stop debating about any number. Because if it's going to make 3,000 per day for another, 10 days, it would be 30,000. So that's not going to get you up over 616 million anyway. But that's the total. That there. Let me pull it up here so you just see it. All right, that's the worldwide. That we're pretty well done with this worldwide box office. That's what it is. Um, let's see if this will pull up for me. Superman 25 125 million, and we don't need to go there. That's one theory. Okay, so let's see here. Comic book movie. There we go. Did Superman really make 125 million theatrical profit for the studio? Not so fast. A recent report claimed, this is what this is said right here, that James Gunn's Superman earned a profit of 125 million for Warner Brothers Studio. While this may be true, that full amount did not come from the movie's theatrical run. But that's not what they said. The claim that was given in the Variety report. Let me see if I can find the Variety report, because this is going to make the difference in understanding these phrases that are made. I think they're afraid of seeing it. Or they maybe they made a correction to it. So let's see. Source to 125 million, third largest box office. Come on. I don't know why we're moving so slow. But let's see. Yeah, we're sitting here slowing down for some weird reason. But let's just jump to this. This is my spreadsheet. Man of Steel released in 2013. Worldwide box office over 670 million. Now, from the numbers, they have a little bit different box office number. 667,999 million. So 668 million. So they're a couple million different. And I'm not sure what to attribute that to necessarily. I think that the domestic's the same, so they have some different. Not the domestic, the international. This is exactly the same. I believe that it is. As you go back to it. Maybe a little bit different here. A couple 100,000. Oh, a few million. Okay. Okay, so they're looking at somehow different domestic box office number. Let's see here. Yeah. Well. No, I need to correct this. Right here, because it's showing the same box office number. The Numbers website, thenumbers.com, you can certainly look at it yourself, but I've got the same number there, and I need to correct that to the Numbers figures. And I thought I had done all of that and got it finished, but apparently not. Okay. But anyway, they're usually fairly close. They're still pretty close. But I think the domestic's going to be a little bit different to show you the difference. Going to make the distinct difference. 280 something million instead of 291. But anyway, let's see if we can get back over here and pull up something new. Superman. There you go. And 125 million story. So we've got this stuff. We got all kinds of stories going on, right? But let's see here. I'm not seeing it. Box office. They're really not doing it. This is not what I'm looking for. And I want to be able to give you the information that I'm trying to say straight from it. Speaking about numbers, I mean the numbers just keep coming out about how uh, yeah, here. This may be good enough for you. Okay, so from Variety, it says 125 million profit. Now we were just at Variety. I looked it up. It didn't come up in the search results. Why wouldn't this come up in the search results? But anyway, it says Superman is projected to make 125 million profit from the theatrical release. And what it said that I saw was globally it was supposed to make that profit at $615 million. It was probably 614 million at the time, and to be really technical. But anyway, uh, that's come on now, think about it. Uh, there's no way people are saying that Man of Steel lost money. Okay, at more than without adjusting for inflation, the global box office, as we just saw, 670 million, 668 or 670 million, is uh, more than 616 million. Okay. Um, Now, again, the report was the global box office, and it was an unknown source. Nobody knows who said it. There's not. It's not verified. Nobody can tell us where this number is coming from. The 125 million. And I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt that somebody misunderstood 125 million opening weekend, and therefore said it was projected 125 million, overall. But no, it's just not so. Now, again, if we take a calculator, right? And I'm going to do this on here so we can see it. A calculator. Come on, come on. And we take the assumed to be true, right, $125 million. We're going to call this a million. And we do the multiplier of 2.5. It's 2.5 to 3 was the just multiplier. That's not knowing what the budget is in marketing, not knowing the marketing budget. If they decide to do triple the size marketing budget, or you're seeing the thing everywhere, and then it's a really, really huge marketing budget. They do some, huge statue somewhere, maybe. There's that. Okay, so this is supposedly right at 2.5. The break even point. Okay, right. Break it now. The one thing you can notice is there's not 100 million from this to the 616 million. All right, so we subtract 616 million. Then forget the negative. $253.5 million is the assumed profits if we just took that as our um, calculation. If we just took it that way, right? So let's see. Let's go ahead and do the 225 million. Let me go back and double check this here. I'm pretty sure that's what they were claiming. 225 million for the budget, because they went down to what the budget was for Man of Steel, and then said, "Well, we're going to claim that." Now I'm telling you that's what I see. But anyway, if you do it 3 times, then it's 675 million. If you just use the factor of 3. However, if we're just going to make it simple, all right, instead of trying to get really complex. Like Dan Murrow did a thing where he went through all this stuff and claimed different percentages and stuff. That's assuming something, and he threw in some numbers that I disagree with. Uh, the other problem we have is that we know from tax filings that it's 363 million is the budget. So we do the 2.5 calculation, and that is the break-even point at the 2.5 calculation for 363 million. Also, we've been told we've been told a couple things. We've been told that the marketing was 200 million, and then we were given another number of 125 million. So let's just do the 125 million. Let me back that up here. Plus 125, and then we're not going to multiply right now. We're going to equal this and then multiply. That's 350 is the budget, and we just used a multiplier of 2 because generally speaking, half of the box office goes to, and most of it was from more than 50% of it rather was from domestic. So we'll do this 350. 350 times 2. Okay, that's a break-even point to get back the money you need that you spent on marketing and that you spent on the budget. 700 million. This is not making a profit of 125 million. None of these things that we're looking at would make a profit of the 125 million. All right. So at best, it made a little bit of profit. At best, it made a little bit of profit. But to say it beat Man of Steel in its profits is also out of this world crazy, because we weren't given an actual number for Man of Steel marketing, and let's see, we're trying to go to this. All right. Meanwhile, I made this. How much it's profitable? It's reported 330 million plus combined production and marketing budget. See, they even reduced the numbers. So if you take just 125 million and 225 million, that's 350 million. All right, so they're trying to say, well, $100 million is what the thing was. Okay, well, let's go here. My marketing said he would be happy for the movie to break even, but it appears to have exceeded his expectations. According to Trade, Sinners is expected to generate this. Superman around this, 125 million, and these numbers, blah blah blah. But these aren't official numbers. If Superman really did earn over 125 million in theatrical profits, that's a stellar result for the first DCU movie. It would be. It would be pretty good. the theoretical break-even point, 562 million for Man of Steel back in the day. So the profit is 107 million. Okay, theoretically, that you don't have to adjust for inflation for that. You just know that that's the amount. That's a profit number. Okay. Uh, People are talking about it. Well, you have to adjust the budget for inflation. Well, here's adjusting the budget for inflation, but when you adjust the income for the inflation, the box office for inflation, you're going to come up with a bigger number than this 107 million because I'm not adjusting this number for inflation. Okay, so that's where we're at. Is Man of Steel on theoretically the same budget because it's claimed to be 225 made 50 plus million more than uh, than Superman. So therefore, the profit is higher. It made less than Superman has made less than this amount. If this is the break even point, so let's go ahead and do the calculation of break even point. 562 5. So we do this. 562,500, and we'll call that million. Add the 3 zeros. That's break even point minus 616 million. Okay. Again, 53.5. I think we did that already. Yeah, 53.5 million profit, which is half of that 100 million from Man of Steel. So I'm not trying to compare it because I'm trying to compare it and say, oh, look, Man of Steel is better. People are coming out talking about Man of Steel not doing well and being bad. It didn't make a profit and so forth. And then coming around changing that narrative to Superman did make a profit of this much money. Da 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 da. It made this much. It's amazing. This is what it did. Well, no. I apologize in advance if I offend you or something, but that's not the way numbers work. Numbers would not do that. Now that's given that. Again, we have been told that they had a higher marketing than otherwise. Now, honestly though, if you take the numbers, I don't want to really do this, but if you'll take the numbers that they've given us as for real. Okay? 363 million. And then 200 million, which is an easy additional problem, is 563 million is the budget. Okay, plus marketing. And we multiply that by 3 to go toward. Well, let's not do that. Let's not multiply by 3. Just multiply by 2. And I apologize. The 3, my numbers are just jumping in my head. The 2 is to get half of it has to go to the theater for profits for the theater, and then the other half goes to the studios. Okay, so 2. That means that is your break-even point for the movie. This is the loss. $500 million in loss. If the worst case scenario were true, perhaps. I guess we call it worst case scenario. I was just thinking back to the Hishi video, but anyway, because they threw in there Lilo and Stitch rather. It was pretty funny. So I'm gonna get rid of that and get rid of this, and what are we gonna look at? Sorry about the ads and stuff that are on here and stuff. Whatever they are, I don't even know. But yeah, how it should have ended good. You guys should go back and watch it. But I've been watching some. This is just another thing. I've been watching reactions, and I watch reactions to Superman. I watch reactions to Man of Steel, and things like that. Now, so I'm gonna jump this up here and just kudos to this man. Flicks Talk is the name. Uh, Flick Flicks Talks or Flicks Talk rather. All right. I haven't gone anywhere from this. Let me just play and see where he's at.
Come on.
You know they say it's all downhill after the first kiss.
That's not true, guys.
I'm pretty sure it only counts when you're kissing a human.
All right, I'm gonna stop, and but giving credit to him, and hopefully I don't get copyright claim for all these little tiny things that are here and there. But anyway, I've watched other reactions too, also, and the people reacting to Man of Steel are emotional. They're recognizing just how beautiful it is and how well shot it is, how well written it is, the how well acted, played, everything, and how it fits. And they'll question some parts of it at some point, and then later on, like, oh, that's what happened there. It gets tied together in the movie, which is normal. Okay, there's nothing wrong with questioning one point and then realizing that the movie deals with that very thing you're asking about and talking about. So I've seen a lot of these. I would recommend going in and doing it. Watch Superman reactions and watch Man of Steel reactions. And this man watched Superman first and gives some praise to it. Okay, he's not down on it. He's not hating it at all. Then he watched this movie. First time he's watched it. These are first time reaction things. They're all over YouTube now. But his consideration of Superman actually changed. And it became less enjoyable and less. You can check it out. He says it himself the best way that I think it can be said toward the end, as he's talking about it and how excellent he believes this is. Again, this is peak Superman. He says right here in his title. All right. And in his description, you see it here there. I finally sat down to watch Man of Steel, and wow, this might just be the greatest Superman movie ever made. From Henry Cavill's performance to the epic action and emotional storytelling, this film completely blew me away. And he just goes on and talks about stuff. But anyway, so that's that. That's just another thing that we're talking about. So, I mean, I can watch things like that, play them in the background, and so forth. A lot of different times, or spend a lot of time doing that. It doesn't. What's the right word I'm trying to use? It doesn't. It doesn't feel like a waste of time to me, especially when I'm sitting here reading something, I'm listening to something else, or watching somebody react to a movie that is excellent, objectively speaking. This being reminded of it kind of reminds me of the first time I watched it. And I'm like, yes, that's kind of the reaction that I had, and so forth. So, anyway, that's just another thing. And again, I'm going to try to get off of that. And again, I'm not really trying to compare it to Man of Steel. So, but since other comparisons are out there with the theories that that's what it is, or that's you know, the comparison out there. Um, I'll allow, you know, somebody to say uh, what they want to. Okay. Let's see here. Trying to get another thing all out here. All right. I'm just looking at some old articles here. Man of Steel, this is the old thing. Man of Steel sources 200 million worldwide in first 4 days as number one record. June domestic opening 127 million. Oh, I'm sorry, 128.7 million. International 71.6 million. Okay, 128.7 million. I don't think that I have the openings in my little calculator. My spreadsheet, I mean. Let's see. Let's just go to the Man of Steel. Domestic box office. Okay, let's see what they did. Let me go ahead and turn this on. Because you have the 125 million being claimed to be more than Man of Steel. The Man of Steel, has this $116 million supposed weekend. They're calculating things different. Okay, the 125 million and I've said this before, and I'm gonna say it again. 125 million of Superman was with the Tuesday showing, Thursday showing, which is an all-day thing nowadays. On into. All right. Man of Steel opened on 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 Friday. Thursday, it had like two showings in the evening. I believe I'm even giving it two and saying it had one at 7 and then had one at 10 because I believe I had the choice to go to one of the other when I bought my ticket. So the Thursday opening is this 12 million, and then through Sunday it was 128 million. Okay, so this is the number with the 12 million. If you take 12 million off that, you get 116 million up here. All right, so Superman is including a Tuesday before this and all day Thursday, not just two shows. Okay, and that's if it was two shows. It could have been one, because it used to be midnight showings, and then they moved it back to like 10. They've been doing this over the years, and they moved it back a little bit further. And then they just said, okay, well, Thursday we're opening up. Now, Thursday usually it's evening, toward the evening, but it does do 3 or 4 screenings per theater that it's in. So if you have like 16 theaters and 5 of them are going to be devoted to Superman, then they're going to have 15, showings, generally speaking, in most theaters on that Thursday. And then on Tuesday, it was just the one. I've told you already that my experience of going to Superman on Tuesday before it opened on Thursday, and then I went on Thursday earlier in the day. Okay, and both times I looked around and it was like the seats that are sold around us in a $30 per ticket seat place, 25 to $30, are not here. The people aren't here watching this movie. By a third to half of the people were not there in the theaters. When I looked at the 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 sales that I saw, supposedly anyway, the tickets gone or the seats gone, unavailable, compared to who was sitting in the theater while I looked around and I, I have pictures and everything. There's just the people weren't there, which was shocking to me. But anyway, getting off of Man of Steel, I think we're not going to continue talking about any of this. Yeah, let's just be done with all of these and come back here. Uh, there's other news coming out. I'm going to say this and just go because I'm going to finish. The things that are bugging me about James Gunn and his leadership of the whole series and stuff, the whole setup, and I don't believe he's going to be there long. And some people want to be mad about that. That's okay. But Peacemaker, uh, season one, I was not impressed, and I couldn't even watch all of it because some of it is just terrible, bad, disgusting, foul, immoral, things like that, nudity and all the language. It's being reported that by at least the actor that was Guy Gardner, Nathan Fillion, that he's using the F bomb many times in the Guardians series that's coming up. There's not a lot of news coming out about the Guardians series. I think the last thing I saw was like they're wrapping it up and getting ready for it to be, put out. But it being a show that's on HBO Max, I'm not going to be subscribed to it. I'm not going to send my money that direction. And I'll talk just a few things about numbers because we're talking about comparisons of numbers. The and you have to be patient with me with this. Or I hope you'll be patient with me. You don't have to be. But the not talking about numbers yet, just the moral side of things. It's not a question of whether or not there's immorality otherwise in these other movies and stuff. There is. And from a biblical Christian perspective, there's a lot wrong and a lot to be despised about this entertainment world. And there's a reason. That's why a lot of people have given up completely on it, and they will not participate, and they you can call it boycotting if you want. They're just not going to spend their money. They're not going to waste their time watching something, even if there's an enjoyment and an enjoyability to most of what's out there. Like Man of Steel, the vast majority of it is extremely enjoyable and entertaining. The bad things in it, there's two ways it can be played. One way is presenting bad as the person being bad. A murderer that's needing to be caught by the hero of the film or something like that is being portrayed that way. A psychopathic serial killer or something like that being portrayed is not, glorifying that bad thing. And then the second way, of course, is glorifying the bad thing. So there's the way of presenting it in a way that, I mean, some things will present the bad guys as just comedically bad, right? And they play it that way. A mustache twirling villain kind of thing. That's what I think we've gotten away from that for the most part, but we've headed into two different ideas mainly, and there's a little bit of something else. And I'll talk about that some other time. but you portray something bad. Somebody does something bad, like uses some bad language or insulting or something to that effect, and it's played as uh, a bad thing. It's showing you the place that person is in their life at the time, such as the bully in Man of Steel, Pete Ross being a bully early on, and the change that comes from that later on. Even though I don't condone, bad language and stuff like that, the the uh, the use of it in that particular case is to show where he's at, not to glorify it. Okay, and then I'm not saying that Man of Steel is free of things that are glorifying, the use of bad language or improper, uncouth um, tones and stuff like that. I wouldn't expect them to. They're not trying to present a biblically Christian movie. Okay, so but it is minimal in that. In Peacemaker, it's frequent. In the Suicide Squad from James Gunn, it is frequent. It is over and over. It is pounding you with it. Some of it they may be trying to play at some point as, well, that's where he was, and there's he's growing. He's got an arc. He's changing. This is gonna come out for a different end. Uh, well, I don't need to spend 2 years or 3 years or however long it may take uh, going through Peacemakers, and all the bad, 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 bad just keeps on being reiterated over and over and over again to finally get to a turnabout, some kind of change later on. Okay, it just doesn't need to happen. But all the bad language and the nudity and immorality that was in the first ruins the series for me, along with other things that exist in that series in season one. So um, that's that though. The season two, they've quadrupled down. Just recently, James Gunn came out and said that that he doesn't have any oversight from WB. So nobody's looking at what he's doing and saying, well, you can't play that. You can't do that. You can't do this big orgy scene. And you can't do, these other things that you're doing that are presenting the DC characters in such an immoral and vile fashion. And so season two is definitely not appealing to me. And it came out also in that same article. That is a recent episode of Peacemaker season two um, has been has has received a lot of backlash. The article reads that there was a lot of pushback, and then he comes out and he dismisses that. James Gunn's answer to the question is dismissive, as if it's just a little bit, and they're racist. Those people are racist that are complaining about this thing, and he he doesn't seem to really understand what he's doing there. But all of it is just bringing down the DC as a platform. If it's all tied up and tied together with what he's doing with Superman and then Supergirl and stuff like this, and I could speak about that more. It's just it all works toward, no, it's not good, not doing good. Um, and the numbers are not good for that show. They're not making the views that others have made, such as the Penguin series. Uh, and if Peacemaker being promoted as much as it is, you can go check his X account. Um, he put out something for Superman being released, I think, and the digital or on the physical possibly. and then and a couple other, just a couple. I'm talking about. Like, on one hand, you can count the tweets within the last 50 tweets, I believe. So about 10% are not Peacemaker. The rest of it is all Peacemaker, Peacemaker, Peacemaker. And he's doing the podcast on Peacemaker, and he's trying to, and he's the people that are coming on the podcast and him, they're doing this praise job of Peacemaker. It's so great. There's all this great stuff. It's all this wonderful acting. There's great scenes. Everything was great, and so forth and so on. I'm sorry, calling your audience racist though is the wrong way to go, and it's not racist what they're talking about. There's no racism involved. Um, in fact, I want to make a point about that just toward the end, so I'll come back to that. So, his direction though, that's the way he's going with it, and he's talking about all these other things, and coming out with news about Batman, and his news about the Batman had to do with the suit and a blue and gray suit. Is this going to be the suit? I don't have a problem with the blue and gray suit. I grew up with a blue and gray suit for Batman. Okay, in the comic books, it's blue and gray in the brand new Batman #1, and now #2 is out. So the new comic series Batman, or at least the restarted numbering, because it's not starting the story over or anything. It's blue. It's blue and gray. Okay, I got no problem with blue and gray if they can play it off well. If they can, do it right, that'd be fine. The idea though is that he's going to make it more like the '60s Batman, and I'm uh, um, very averse to that being what it is. He's gonna make it into the campy Adam West, Burt Ward series of Batman and Robin. Um, Maybe he won't, but it's going to be Batman and Robin, so we're going to see what happens. We'll see where they go with it, right? Uh, but that's the fear of some people. That's the fear of a number of people would be that. And the other thing though is his claim that the suit doesn't matter at all. That's not true. As I mentioned Tyrone Magnus before, he came out and said, no, it does matter. It all comes together. Everything comes together. All right. So if it's a bad suit, it doesn't matter if you get a great movie. The bad suit's going to make it look pretty bad. Uh, so you're going to have problems with it. So and I agree with that. There's no way to justify that. But a couple more thoughts here. Another thing, the praise of the numbers of Superman. Please, just grow up, everybody out there, and realize you're not making it. Okay, you're not doing well. All right. The numbers, 13 million watches on HBO Max, which is a lot less than some others. All right. 500 and something thousand, up to 1.3 million watches or views in the VOD realm. So I looked for a while. They did not give me numbers for Jurassic Park. Okay, the Jurassic World Rebirth. But if you take the number 1.3 million, and then you multiply that by we're going to say $24. Okay, that's 31.2 million. Even if I made it, $30, that would be it's 1.3 million. That was the number given to us, 1.3 million after a week and something. 1.3 million times the $30 is 39 million. Okay. So again, 1.3 times 24. So between 31 and $39 million. So I didn't find, as I was looking through Grok, and you can check, or I mean, I asked Grok after I looked for several places and tried to find it, looked in AI things and reports and stuff like that. Finally, I checked with Grok, and Grok said, if I remember right, uh, that in that in the first week, which they didn't give numbers for later weeks and how much Jurassic World was making on VOD, and it stayed in my theater for a couple of weeks after it came out on VOD. Stayed longer than Superman did for about a week past Superman, and same for Fantastic Four, First Steps. But anyway, real quick. Um, Again, 39 million is the monetary amount. Jurassic World, the report on that, according to Gronk, and you can check it out, was somewhere in the 60 million area for about the same time period. That means close to double what Superman did as far as numbers. Do you understand? So stop trying to hide other figures. You compared it to uh, Mission Impossible or something like that, which it wasn't that much less than Mission Impossible, but uh, that's what you compared it to. But compare it to Jurassic World Rebirth, a movie that you want to claim was so bad. So many people claiming that Jurassic World Rebirth was so bad. It's much more successful, much more people watching it, much more people buying it to watch it again and again. And we're talking about VOD now. Okay, we can go into the VOD part of things. And not only did it do better box office wise, it did better VOD. And people are coming out very viciously attacking somebody like what I'm doing right now and saying your numbers aren't that good. They're really not. They're much lower. You're saying a number and then comparing it to nothing and not telling us anything we could compare it to. And it's really weird that you would do something like that. There's people out there that attack it and want to compare it to, Rebel Moon or something like that. Well, Rebel Moon had a lot more viewers, okay, than the 13 million that they're, touting for Superman. If you want to compare it to Rebel Moon, go ahead. And then you want to compare the budget. There's 4 movies of Rebel Moon, 2 parts, 2 director's cuts of it. But however you want to break it down, we'll just say the 2 parts, and then it does take money in a budget of some sort to edit that down to a PG-13 version. Although there's plenty of things out there that show an R rating and another thing, so the budget would apply to everything, right? Anyway, 2 movies, $166 million budget. So 80 something, 83 million per movie is the budget for Rebel Moon. And nobody can go watch that movie and say the special effects are actually bad or horrendous or anything like that. That's ridiculous. The world building, all that stuff, the design of the things, you just can't say that it's actually objectively bad. Okay? My goodness, go watch Flash Gordon and stuff like that. See special effects, and their difference. But this, I mean, why the attacks? Why all of the attacks? Because of somebody pointing out, it's really not as successful as they're claiming. Why all of the spouting of this stuff as if it's so wonderful? Well, it's the same mindset as James Gunn coming out saying, you're all racist. You're a bunch of racists. You're a racist people. You people are racist. And they're pointing toward the current president, and the MAGA movement and people on the right. And they're trying to label these people in the way that they do, such as the Nazi propaganda lines and stuff like that are in Peacemaker Season 2. Now, I just have seen, Nerdrotic and other people, you know, putting out some videos with scenes out of it, and they may be out of context. They may not be a full context, but you can't say a certain phrase as they did this line that this Nazi world isn't much better or worse rather than the world we live in, our own Earth, and expect anybody to think that that's actually taken out of context. No, we're not racist, and I'm toward the right. I'm in the conservative sector of the world. I'm a biblical Christian. I believe what the Bible says, and I'm strict about it, and I stay with what the Scripture says. So that leans me in politically toward the right, and so forth. Not the lies about the right, but the truth about conservatism and all that. And what I want to say is there was a man back in, I think it's the '60s. I'm not straight on my dates right now. Um, I'm 100% sure it's back in the '60s. Not going to give you exact dates. So, and he came out with a speech and said that he had a dream, and his dream was, and this is only part of it, that his children would live in a world where they were not judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. So I want to say this. This is my position. This is my position. The vast majority of this country, all right, is in this place, this mindset and this attitude. Um, not giving you cliches like we don't see color and stuff like that. That's not the point. But racism by color is not a thing for the vast majority of the country. Racism doesn't exist anymore in that sense, in that way. There's a new racism, and the new racism is about character. The new racism is about character. And there are people that hate other people for having character. And those people don't have character of their own, or they have bad character, if you want to put it a little more technically. All right, so I understand people are racist, and that there exists some small faction of people that hate people just because of the color of their skin. So there's a small minority in this country that still exists on those kind of principles. There's a lot of people that are taught that kind of thing growing up to be racist because of the color of somebody's skin. Well, I've been done with that for a long time. Other people have been done with that for a long time. And we're not looking at the color of people's skin. We're looking at their character. We're looking at the way they present themselves. We're looking at everybody that way. So somebody making assumptions on race and everything else like that, on the color of people's skin, that's just not what the vast majority of conservatives, or even the vast majority of everybody in this country, does. It's more prominent with a certain group, but they're not on the right. They're not on the conservative side of things. If you want to label that as party, it's not Republican then. All right. Then the new racism, if you will, okay, is about character. It's just about character. And it's people hating people with character and attacking people with character. And those people with character come back and push back logically, reasonably, and so forth. Now, I'm kind of boiling it down and saying that because that's the hot button word for there, but forget it, okay? Just put that out of your mind, if you will. I mean, that's what, hopefully, Martin Luther King Jr. actually wanted, was for people to be judged by the content of their character. Why can't y'all do that? Why does it keep coming up? Racist nonsense. No. In this particular case, we're looking at the content of the character of what's being presented as uh, this show and this whole world that James Gunn is building. And I'm sorry, but you're not winning by calling people racist. Uh, it's not going to work. You don't even realize what you're doing. This is constant when people are attack the right, and then they try to present their uh, false view of things from a leftist perspective. Oh goodness, I'm. They fail to present a good presentation of what they want to present. And sometimes they get really close to recognizing what's really wrong with their position. And they just got a thin little veil of blindness left that needs to be, yanked out of the way. And they'll see it. They'll open their eyes and say, oh, yeah, this is a lie that I've been believing for a long time. So there you go. I'm going to leave it at that. Just quit with the racism talk. Quit with the nonsense. Quit with the rhetoric that's attacking people that are not open to the attack that's being given. I'm talking about there's lies presented. Somebody says a lie about somebody else. That's what I mean by they're not open to that attack. It's like I didn't say that thing. I didn't do that thing that you're saying. I don't believe the thing that you just claimed that I believe. You know, uh, and I don't want to get into examples because we could sit here and go for a while with examples and stuff like that. But those, to circle back, these are just reasons that that are very disappointing and saddening for me as to why this new DCU um, series of movies and TV shows coming out is not appealing. Okay, it's not appealing to me. It's not appealing to a whole lot of people because they're not watching it. But it's not going to be appealing, in the future because it's it started out bad. And I'll push back to the Suicide Squad belongs to James Gunn and the DCU, at least. The Suicide Squad does. Because that's the Peacemaker. That's the beginning of Peacemaker. That's where he starts. The whole story starts there. Okay? So I'm going to give that to him. That's DCU. Then you got Peacemaker, at least, from there. And Peacemaker Season 2. And you're going to have the Lanterns and the mediocre Superman movie that you had or still have, and just let it go from there. But it started out bad with the Suicide Squad, got worse with the Peacemaker. A little bit of pullback and different, a little bit better. I will say that Superman is better than those movies and the TV show. And I did watch the first season of the show. Not impressed. Uh, Again, didn't watch all of it because I couldn't. But I watched the Suicide Squad. I've watched the Suicide Squad again recently, hoping it was okay. But no, it's worse than I thought it was. But it started out bad with that, got worse. Little shift because it's Superman. I guess it's gonna be a little bit better, but there was a lot. They put about as much language as you probably can put into it and still retain the PG-13 movie. And you had Superman using foul language. Where in the world does that come in? Come on. Sorry, maybe I have missed a lot of comic books if they've started Superman cussing. Yeah, I don't think that they did. But yeah, I don't see it. Everything I hear about things going forward, it doesn't sound good either. Doesn't sound like he has a grasp on things. And of course, right now in Peacemaker Season 2, it's just getting worse, and it's going to keep getting worse. And a few emotional moments do not make up for a lot of bad immorality. It does not make up for that. And a few emotional moments, especially based on bad theories and bad concepts in your mind, which is really what was in Superman. People don't recognize that fact that it's what they think of as even a good emotional moment is not that great, or it's bad, the opposite of that great, or even okay. Uh, it's just not good. So, uh, you know, not excited at all. Got a few pictures out closing on this with Zack Snyder's new movie. It's in shooting right now, or finishing, wrapping it up, something like that. The Last Photograph. And he's got a few more projects coming that all look exciting. The Last Photograph, just seeing a few pictures, I was like, that looks good. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of that. And we'll see. Zack Snyder's not perfect. I'm not trying to tout him so much greater and stuff, morally even speaking, perhaps. But he makes movies that are interesting, entertaining, sometimes very very touching, very very good, and so forth. But yeah, I'm not going to dwell anymore on those things, and I would only come back and make another video about this stuff if something big came out where we need to. Probably will talk about maybe Supergirl. I want to see where they go with Supergirl, but it'll depend on the way it's presented. Coming out in a little bit. Oh, a couple of months. It should be, uh, according to one report anyway, should see a trailer in a couple of months. Maybe at the theaters when I'm watching it. Hey, there's Supergirl. That's pretty interesting. Or we'll see whether or not it's interesting and how it presents it, right? And yeah, we'll go from there. But yeah, otherwise, check out other videos on the channel. I'm gonna try to put something else out pretty soon that'll be uh, of, of more interest to people. And I think I may bore you with this kind of thing, but anyway, I'll leave it. I'll leave it at all that. I still that's where I am though. Is not excited. Love for you to comment below and tell me why I should be excited, not sit there and tell me I'm a troll or anything, or talk to me like I'm ridiculous or foolish or racist, because that's ridiculous. That's nonsensical in so many ways. But we'll see. We'll see what you put in the comments if you want to say anything. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and if you put up with me this long, God bless you on your way, and hope that you have a great day, great week, and enjoy uh, these things in life. Okay. Anyway, see you later.